to achieve that growth. Okay? Which is basically what this is saying right here. There are 3 steps to doing this. Okay? First, we're going to determine the return on capital. Then we're going to calculate the net reinvestment rate. And then we're going to multiply those together to come up with a long-term EBIT growth rate.
Adding that net reinvestment off of the free cash flow. So if the free cash flow, you said it was going to be $10 million every year in free cash flow. You're going to get the growth rate by assuming they're going to put that $10 million back in. Then you can't double count it. So you net it off, right?
They're growing off of that 10, so the 10 million is, you're saying 10 million is the NOPAT?
Right. You assume the free cash flow is 10 million.
Yep.
And let's assume you're going to reinvest all of that every year. But you don't get to take the 10 million out here when the discount. You don't take it out until down the road.
You probably wouldn't reinvest all the cash flow, right?
Right, let's say it's 5.
Okay.
You net off the 5 and say free cash flow is 5 because it's the CapEx. And CapEx is what's propelling your growth and that's where you get your growth rate.
You're getting, okay, I'm not sure I understand your question, but I think this is going to explain it.
Okay.
Let me walk you through these steps. Okay? First step is you're calculating a return on capital. What is a return on capital? You have a total amount of capital in the company, debt and equity. The return on that is what is it producing? What is that capital producing annually? There's your equation. NOPAT, that's the same we said as EBIAT. EBIAT divided by debt and equity. That gives you return on capital. So can somebody calculate that for Mercury? So we're looking at the NOPAT in the final year of the concrete period. So the NOPAT, that's back in Exhibit 7, I think. 6? Which is, what do we have for NOPAT? Okay, wait, let's get down to, 2011. So remember, you got here.
I thought he said the last one.
Remember how we got to NOPAT or EBIAT? 64 million is just your EBIT.
Which year are you in?
So we're taking the last year of the concrete period,
Which is 2006?
2011.
So
The final year of the concrete period of the projections. So let's go back. Let me go find this. Back a few slides here. What do we have? Remember this slide here? What do we calculate NOPAT? Here's NOPAT. 38,767. How did we get that?
64 less the tax rate of 40%.
You're taking EBIT after taxes. You take EBIT and then you reduce it by taxes. And that gives you 38,767. Okay? So that's your NOPAT. You're dividing that by the total invested capital in the business. What do we have there? We don't have really good information here, but you're looking at 2011. how can you get to a total capital number for 2011? This is a leap.
Add up all the assets, subtract the liabilities.
How, say again, Duncan?
Add up all the assets and subtract the liabilities.
Well, you're getting to equity, but we also got to add debt. We're assuming, remember he said that there's going to be 20% debt. So actually what you can do is just add up all the assets. Or actually, that's your total. We're getting to total capital. So debt plus equity. Okay, so add up all the assets, and that's going to give you that number. What do you get? 331, 381. So return on capital is your NOPAT divided by your invested capital. What do you get? 331, 381. And that's a little bit of a leap to get to that number. Return on capital of 11.7. Okay? So now, we're going to take that and we're going to calculate, again, we're trying to get to a growth rate here. A perpetuity growth rate is what we're after for the terminal value. What are we comfortable with assuming this is going to grow every year at? Okay? Let's go back to the formula. So now we've got return on capital. Let's calculate the net. We said this, we're comfortable with growth being the growth of the cash flows minus the times the investment, the reinvestment rate. You've got to reinvest to get to those cash flows. So you've got now the cash flows, the return on capital. Now let's calculate the net reinvestment rate. And that is equal to an equation of the change in net fixed assets plus the change in net working capital divided by NOPAT. You know NOPAT because you just used it up here. How do you get to, this is a little tricky. It took me several times to calculate to get to this number. So you're calculating in the terminal period or the final period of the concrete periods, change in net fixed assets plus change in net working capital. Look at page 14, Exhibit 7.
2989.
How do you get to change in net fixed assets? For the last year.
Change from 2010 to 2011.
Yes. May have just sent you the wrong page. Yes, you said that. Yes. Where's CapEx? Okay, CapEx is on there. CapEx minus depreciation. CapEx minus depreciation is going to give you what? The change in net fixed assets. What do you have there? This is actually on Exhibit 6. Look on Exhibit 6 at the bottom of the page. We're calculating first the change in net fixed assets. Yes. That's okay. Add that to the change in net working capital. Does that make sense? Why would change in net fixed assets be your capital expenditures in the final year minus your depreciation in your final year? Does that make sense? Because that's what you're adding to property, plant, and equipment. Now you're calculating the change. You've already calculated change in net working capital. We did that up on the board, right? In the final year.
Year issues?
So add that. You've got it on your flipboard.
69.
So what do you get for net reinvestment?
933.
Take your change in net fixed assets plus your change in net working capital divided by NOPAT. NOPAT we said was what, 38? Divided by your NOPAT.
So add these two over here, 295.
Who's got the reinvestment rate?
23.6.
Yes, 23.8. How did you get that, Duncan?
Divided the 9223, which is the change in fixed assets and change in working capital, divided by the NOPAT of 38,777.
There you go. Did everybody hear that?
Say again?
Divide the change of fixed assets plus the change in working capital, which I got is the 9223. That figure divided by the 38,767, which is the NOPAT,
Okay.
23.8%.
So that's so step back from what the actual numbers and just think about this equation for a second. We're trying to calculate a reinvestment rate. This is what you're reinvesting divided by your NOPAT or EBIAT, earnings before interest after taxes. That's what the company's generating in cash flow. You got to invest this much to get that. So you're getting a reinvestment rate. Now take that reinvestment rate and multiply it by ROC, return on capital. What do you get? What's the growth rate you're coming up with? 2.8. So that is what you can plug in. Here we go. 2.78 or 2.8. So what you do there, if we can put this back up. Now let's calculate, somebody calculate terminal value based on those assumptions. And I'll put up here's the equation.
Yeah, that. What was that? Yeah.
This equation is actually the present value of the terminal value. Originally, this part is going to get you the future value of the terminal value, then you got to discount it back to time zero, and this is going to give you the present value of the terminal value. R is what? What does R represent? WACC, which we calculated at 12 point what? So 11. Yeah. 11.64. 11.06. which is R.
We're doing, yes, I don't know, G. G is just that times that. So 11.7 times 23, just 0.03. What is the future cash flow?
So if you're done, write it on your flip chart. Write it up on the flip chart.
The number, come on, the denominator is? No, well, actually, the denominator there is. The 1 plus R is. It's your, 1 plus your, to the nth power, to the fifth.
Changing the assets to capital.
Because you're.
But you also, that's asset maintenance. You have to have
The
maintenance
last
capex too.
value
Assets.
multiply. Like a perpetuity. So what was our way in there? 11.06. So 11.06 plus 1. Raised to.
I think it is raised to, if I broke out maintenance and discretionary capex. Yeah, so I would say this equation would be maintenance capex plus discretionary capex minus depreciation. Because the asset is going to be depreciating each year. Yes.
That means multiplied by itself.
It's, you're now thinking about what's going to be this common. Yeah. But at the same time, you're going to have to replace all the capex too.
Percent, sorry. It took it from the
But you're then compounding.
Is there a lot of them?
This is
Yes.
Share that 5 million.
Is growth capex.
So the reason it's relevant to use cars, I mean,
Okay.
So you have to adjust.
11.06%.
Yeah, your true estimate.
If you want to raise it to the value of whatever, then still applies.
That's the general for
You just said in your industry, your maintenance capex is higher than higher than depreciation, so maintenance capex is higher. Because the depreciation is, you depreciate your assets down, so
we used to have to spend it. Now,
okay.
now you gotta spend more.
Yeah.
So your net worth is so you have to spend more to maintain. This makes sense, because probably most of the depreciation. What you're making.
That's the one.
It may underestimate how much of that, may overestimate what you invested.
Yes. He's got, good formula. Y'all, anybody written them up? Still working? Write the formula and your conclusion.
How do we find the expected cash flow?
Now smell the food. Remember the growth rate is, you take the growth rate, but it's one plus the growth rate to get to, so you're taking the final year's free cash flow, okay? But then you're adding the growth rate to it to get to the numerator. One plus that gets you the numerator. Just to recap, we said the growth rate is what? 2.78. We said WAC or R is 11.06. N is 5. Free cash flow is what?
29,540,000.
That's the tricky part. Look again at, look again, that's this, but you've got to multiply that times
30.
1. What did you get?
3366.
There you go. Yes. Make sure everybody's got that. And what is R minus G? Yes. And then what's the denominator? What is this?
1689.
Yes, 1689617. So if you're calculating terminal value, what did y'all get for terminal value? 367 million?
Ours
Okay.
is black.
But then you've got to present value that, which is this. The 367 is here, and now you discount that back to times 0. 217, 292 is what?
You said they should write it down as well.
Is everybody there? If not, make sure you understand it before we break for lunch.
Put it back and find it. No, I haven't.
Well.
Any questions? I see punching the calculator.
Rounding error.
This is tough stuff. Not easy. So we got, just to recap, here in the numerator here, you've got 29,545,000 times the 1 plus the growth rate of 2.78, and that gives you 30,366,350. Divide that by R minus G. We said R is the WACC, or the cost of capital, 11.06. We calculated that a little while ago, minus the growth rate, which you just calculated, of 2.78. So 11.06% minus 2.78% gives you 8.28%. And you're dividing that, that's your terminal value. And then you've got to discount that terminal value back to time zero at 1 plus R to the n, which is 1.689, gives you present value. You get a terminal value of 367,070,000, and present value of that is 217,292,000. That's where you should be landing. And that's the present value of the terminal value, which is one of the two pieces of the total value for DCF. Food is ready. We want to break for lunch. It's hot too. I think it's served as it is hot. So we're going to take an hour lunch. Give y'all time to decompress a little bit.